It's what I do with all children 8 years old and older and all carers I work with. It's good for training if you're training yourselves and carers. And it sort of explains attachment. Okay, so I'm a bit out of school, but I did say I would do it. So attachment, okay, so imagine here we have a child, and here we have the essence of who the child is. Here we have mum, primary carer, and her essence of who she is. In a healthy attached model, what we understand is this begins in the womb. And in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy, the importance of the interaction between the mother and the response from her baby is all important. So in a healthy model, I'm going to make an awful mess, but in a healthy model, if mum is eating well, who else is eating well? Okay? If mum eats consistently and regularly and repetitively, the baby's going to know that this glucose she needs to grow healthily is a readily reliable source. If mum is healthy, if mum is feeling good about this baby, if mum is emotionally sound about this baby, mum's heartbeat is going to be fairly regulated throughout the pregnancy. What we know about the heart rate in babies is that the babies will kind of regulate to and synchronize to the mother's heartbeat. In neuroscience, this is beginning to be called rhythm of life. Now, what we know about children when they come out of these situations, the rhythm of life is really important for them. Ears are beginning to be formed in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy. So whatever's going on internally is going to affect the baby in their rhythm of life. So the heartbeat regulation is really important. But also externally, whatever noise is going on outside the womb is also going to be started to be picked up by the child. So, any of you remember Sony Walkman cassette players? All right? Those of you that are too young were just jealous, all right? And the advert for Sony Walkman cassette players many years ago was, strap a Sony Walkman cassette player to your pregnant belly and play Mozart, and your child will turn out to be a genius. Now, the best place to go for child development and early years is the Harvard Center for the Developing Child. It's a beautiful site on the internet. It's absolutely free. It will give you so much information about healthy development, which a lot of us don't see, by the way, but also lots of information about unhealthy development. They did a research piece of work a year ago or so about the importance of music on the development of children. Okay? Basically, music is regulated. It's regulated heartbeat. The rapper, today was rapping in a heartbeat regulation. Good speakers speak at heartbeat regulation because it's comforting. You can hear what they're saying. If you like Dan Hughes's work, Dan Hughes talks in a heartbeat regulated motion. Ups and downs. You find yourself romantically being involved with Dan talking because he does it very, very well. If the baby experiences all wonderful things, when she is born to what in order to survive? What does she need to do in order to survive?
Breathe.
Sorry? Okay, so
I just said breathe.
Yeah, she needs to breathe, but what else does she need to do in order to survive? Things she could do herself, like breathing, yes. But what does she need to have in order to survive?
Connect with mum.
Sorry?
Connect with mum.
Connect with mum. How does she connect with mum?
Touch. Feeding.
Crying, yeah? Basically, we're designed to irritate our mothers. So we cry because crying is irritating. And so we cry in the hope that mother doesn't want us to cry and therefore comes to gratify us by trying to find out what we need in order to not cry. And so if we are able in a healthy attached relationship to cry and our mother can come and soothe us and meet our needs, this is called serve and return. So again, neuroscience concepts, serve and return. We're not designed as babies to be served to, we're designed to be serving. Yeah, so it comes from us and then responded to by our parent. If this goes on for 18 months of life, what this child begins to understand is that they can rely on the fact that they are both lovable and worthwhile because their mum is caring and meeting their needs. Okay? If after 18 months of life this is something that she experiences, then she knows that she is safe. And this is what Kathy and Helen were talking about yesterday. How many of you play peekaboo with your young children? What is peekaboo?
Serve and return.
Serve and return. Here's this baby. She is an extension of her mother for the first 6 months of her life. Then she starts to notice other things around the world. So she starts to interact. So she catches your eye, and if you're a safe person, you'll look back, and then she'll hide back behind her parent. And then she'll look again, and she'll hide back. Unsafe, safe. Unsafe, safe. as she learns that she's protected by her main caregiver. When she bum shuffles or crawls, she'll crawl to a certain distance, and Ainsworth in the 60s will tell us that children get to a certain proximity, they look back. If mum is attentive, mum is calm, the baby may explore a bit more. If mum looks a bit worried, baby comes straight back. This is a secure attached model. So let's go back to the kids that I end up working with, in the main, not all, but most children I work with, and some you'll work with. Their experience in the womb may be very different. So let's say that they're in the womb. Mum is taking drugs. So what's happening about these drugs that mum's taking? Okay, so the effect on mum and her psychosomatic is her heartbeat will be irregular, her mood swings will be irregular, her eating might not be as regular, her sleeping may not be as regular. So these things that need to happen for the baby may not be happening in the way that we would hope them to happen. But what about the drugs mum's taking? Where are they going? Into the baby, yeah? So some of us will know that if mum continues taking drugs throughout pregnancy, when the baby is born, the baby's supply of drugs is now gone. The baby then goes through withdrawal, which to see is horrible. I think some of you may have seen this, it's just not okay. All right? That's an experience of pain. That's an experience that sticks with our young people. But the effect of taking the drug on mum is also impacted on the baby. What about domestic violence? How might that affect the baby, do you think?
Similarly, in terms of the heartbeat stuff.
Okay, so mum's responses to produce the chemicals she needs to be protective of herself, to be bigger, all go where? To the baby. Mum's heartbeat, irregular. Mum is on kind of vigilance. Baby is not sure what's going on. Externally, if mum is in a violent relationship and the baby's in the womb and reasonably okay, I did this once in smash glasses, so I can't do that now, and mum's okay, and all of a sudden there's a big, what happens? Don't get worried about this. It was like this. What happens? What did you do at the back? You just jumped up. Because you can't see what I was doing, you just hear a big noise. Babies in the womb will startle. Now, if they startle, they're going to take a while to what? Calm back down again. How much impact does that have on that baby's developmental process if the baby's now waiting for the next bang? Do you see what I mean? There's some wonderful research in domestic violence impact on the womb and the baby in the womb in Texas and California currently. Be interesting to see what they come up with. Baby's born. Baby's born to what in order to survive? She's got to cry, yeah? So she cries in the hope and expectation that mum will... But what if mum doesn't? Well, the baby cries again. What if mum doesn't? Eventually, what will the baby stop doing? Because her needs aren't met, they're not working. So, metaphorically, she then puts a lid over the top to keep herself what? Alive. Yeah? I need to contain what I have here because this is where I am at. Now, the kids that I work with will stop me at this point, some of them, and will say, Richard, stop. And I go, why? That's me. And I go, what do you mean that's you? I don't trust anybody. Why don't you trust people? Because they let me down. I don't have friends because friends let me down. I keep myself to myself because I can't take those risks. Now, 13, 14-year-olds get this more quickly than their carers do, by the way. So here's this child here with this lid. So what happens, of course, is by this point, some of these placements break down, and along comes a really loving, caring, healthy carer, maybe a kinship carer, maybe a foster carer, or whatever else. He sees this hurt child. What do they want to do?
Fill the cup with seal.
Okay, so they pour. What happens? But they don't see this. So we tell them, don't worry, you won't get something straight away. So they pour, and they pour, and they pour. And eventually what will happen if we don't arrest this?
Then they run out of water.
And what do they then say?
The placement, they can't maintain the
This
placement.
child, I can't do anything with this child. This child has drained me. This child, I'm not good enough for this child. So eventually we don't stop it, the placement breaks down. What does the child say? Told you so. I told you can't trust. Now I work with multi-place children, 20, 30 placements. That's an awful lot of this. So the reason I'm saying this to you here is because when we have children coming into our space, and why 9 months of work for life story work, basically, is we need to play peekaboo. Because trying to serve to a hurt child won't work. We have to get the child to expect us to respond. So if we can put consistency, predictability, repetition around the child, this child may start to play peekaboo. It may start to have a little peek and see how are things. Maybe this is okay. If we're good at what we do, we won't pour. We'll just say, hi, I'm here. I'll peek, and we'll be. And if I'm consistent and predictable enough, the more management I have of my cover. And what I work with is children who need to learn mastery over their lid. They'll never lose this. You know, sometimes they'll need it to shut back down again when things get too bad. But if you can learn mastery, so this is peekaboo. This is about consistency and predictability. So in my life story work, this is what we say to our carers. We are going to play peekaboo. We're going to be consistent, predictable. We're going to listen. We're going to be present in the hope that children can relearn trust, can relearn reliability. But all the time we know that children who go, are you okay, suddenly think, oh my God, they now know I'm vulnerable, I have to snap my lid back. And what happens to carers when children snap their lid back? Only do carers? Anybody here carers? You often get a kick in the head. You'll lose one of your precious items. They need to make you feel bad so that they can feel safe again. This is 1 step forward, 3 steps back. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. If you see a child doing this in your case management, they are starting to recover. It's the kids that don't do anything you've got to worry about. Yeah? If you help carers to understand this, if you help your children to understand this, you are halfway to recovery. I hope that was helpful.
Do you have an explanation